Hello again and welcome to Georgia Power. I'm Maynard Eaton, your host, and joining me is our executive editor and the producer, Okeeba Jubalo. Okeeba, welcome.
Oh, thank you. Nice to be here.
Listen, you're getting ready to kick off something that's kind of exciting. You're an Atlanta artist and entrepreneur and businessman and here for 23 years as a musician also.
Right.
Now you're taking art from Atlanta outside of Atlanta on an exhibition, a tour, to Washington, D.C.
Yes.
It's called Atlanta, Our Home, Our Artists, Our Legacy.
Yes.
Why leave exporting the work, if you will?
I mean, it's one of those things where when we kicked off the show in February, Black History Month, Super Bowl, that was like the gateway into this play. And it's one of those things where in order for Atlanta to really thrive, it's going to have to happen from the outside in. Because it's not going to happen within. The artist, wonderful. But when you look at the structure in place around the artist, that's not as supportive as it should be. So it's just like any kind of musician on a high level, you have to go on the road to make your money, and you have to expose your talent and your culture elsewhere. So what I'm doing is I'm packaging up Atlanta, and I'm putting it on the road.
Because Atlanta itself does not necessarily work for Atlanta artists at home?
It definitely doesn't. It's a great place to create the work, but it's not a great place to monetize the process of creating the work and after the work is created. So you have to look at different routes and different avenues to be able to make your money and earn a living.
As you well know, Atlanta is a home and the birth of the civil rights movement is known for its Martin Luther King Jr., its Andy Youngs and all that. Is it known for artists as well, or that's the problem?
I think it's known for a select few who end up in a certain pipeline, but it's not known for really supporting the artist. And what it is known for is getting you to a place where you leave and then you explode, and then Atlanta say, hey, that's our so-and-so. So I can list a number of names who have done that. And Atlanta just really hasn't really caught on yet. Like, you have the power to create a world star. You just don't see them in a proper light. Because the stars are here, they're producing here. There's not been exposed here, you say. Right. And they not even exposed and not even just supported. Everybody looks at Atlanta for everything. You look at music, you look at now film, you look at politics, you look at the civil rights movement. It's like the world is always looking at Atlanta, but Atlanta doesn't fully value its homegrown talent here, which is very weird,
What are you doing with this talent? What are you saying about taking this show on the road, if you will, and what is it saying about you?
I mean, one thing is I would measure up the talent here in Atlanta anywhere. I could take a group of artists from every discipline and take them into any place on this planet, and we would beat the brakes off everybody.
Really?
Hands down. And not to say that art, for me, is competitive. You know what I'm saying? But not to belittle anybody else anywhere. Yeah, it's creative, but it's like in regards to skill set and ability to go from one point to the next point, it doesn't get any better. But just like you look at the Falcons or the Hawks, just use the Falcons as an example. How is it possible that you have a new stadium in your first Super Bowl? The Falcons, they're not playing in a stadium. So that says something about the talent around the talent. Because the stadium is there, the football team is there, so what happened? The same thing applies with the artists. The talent is here, people are here, but what's going on? We need an artist union, as an example. How is it possible that you can have so many different artists and we don't have an actual union protecting our rights and helping us to get paid gigs and, just dealing with the professional aspect of being an artist? You know what I'm saying? How is that possible? I get how it's possible, but I feel like there are a number of different things. Press, we need ongoing press. Why won't we put something together? Which that's something that I'm doing later on this year. I'm gonna launch a different version of YBE dedicated to the arts, Atlanta arts.
I've been writing and reporting in Atlanta for 40 years. One of the consistent complaints I've heard from artists I've interviewed over that period of time is that they don't get paid.
Right.
Their work is not appreciated dollars and cents. They struggle. Might be great artists, but they're not getting the dollars. They're not getting the big bucks.
Right.
Is that because the money's not here or they're not appreciated?
The money is here, but the problem is just like, let's say LeBron James. LeBron plays basketball. He doesn't have to worry about the nuts and bolts around him playing basketball. So it's just like, yes, he gets paid, but he has a team that works around him to make sure that the money is what it's supposed to be. When you look at the artists, nobody's around us to make sure that the money is what it's supposed to be. So when you look at an organization, whether it's NBAF or the City of Atlanta, and any of these organizations, there needs to be something around the artist that protects his or her movement as a professional. Nothing's in place. So you don't get paid. Because their thing is like, okay, we'll find somebody else to do it for free. You know, there's such a low value on it, strictly because we're not organized in that business sense.
But Okeeba, as I understand it, having known you for a while now, you approach your artistry as a businessman. I mean, you don't just make a piece of art or do a piece of art and send it out there and hope somebody buys it. You have a different way of doing this. So what's your role as an entrepreneur yourself as an artist? But what's your role in this traveling tour of Atlanta?
Yeah, my thing is to be the protection that they need and the mouthpiece and the muscle that they need. You know what I mean?
Say that again, the mouthpiece and the muscle.
The mouthpiece and the muscle. Because when you look at the mouthpiece has to be able to come in, clearly articulate the value of whatever it is he or she is presenting, and then the muscle has to make sure we get paid, period. You know, so from that standpoint, that's my thing. Because I've done it for myself, and I have a great deal of credibility here in the scene. So I've done it, and they trust me because they see me doing it. You know what I mean? So when I say, hey, I'm going to do this for you, and even when we look at the percentages, typically when a gallery shows, they'll take 50% of whatever your sale is. Wow. You know, and what I'm doing with this, every time they work with me, it's a 75-25 cut. Saying, okay, I'll get 25% if I sell something. And if I don't sell anything, what do you have to lose?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And even if I don't sell anything, I know how to help them level up brand-wise. So now your exposure is really worth something. So typically,
your name is out there.
Your name is out there on a whole different level. Because typically the galleries and folks be like, oh yeah, you get exposure. But it doesn't matter because it doesn't really transfer into something tangible. With me, your exposure transfers into something tangible. You know what I'm saying? Where I say, okay, I'm taking you to DC, taking your work to DC. Who's doing that in Atlanta? Who has done that in Atlanta? I've been here for 20 plus years. Who's done that?
And what does that say? Taking your work to DC. What will that mean, you think? How will that show up and show out?
Yeah, I mean, a big part of it is saying, like, when I was looking at starting this leg of the tour, because this is going to be a quarterly tour, when I was looking at it, I said, okay, I'm going to start in the nation's capital. How boss is that? We go from February, and when I was telling people in February, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and put this thing on the road, everybody, oh, yeah, well, okay. I said, no, I'm going to put this thing on the road. We're going, yeah, Okeeba. And now here we are in June. And we're going to the nation's capital in one of the most celebrated jazz festivals in all of America.
So you're going from Black Atlanta, the jewel of the South, to Chocolate City in D.C.
Right. It used to be chocolate.
It used to
be Chocolate City. You know,
but it's still a political capital.
Yeah, it's still there.
That's right. It used to be chocolate.
Yeah. So when we take it up there,
that's pretty good.
And we bring it to, we bring Atlanta up there. It speaks in this whole different way because the South has something to say. So from that point, we're saying, okay, I'm bringing these amazing artists up here, put them right here in D.C. You know what I mean? Because I'm sure D.C. is going through a similar wave. I know they are with the gentrification and that whole deal. So that even impacts the art game. Your artists aren't in the city. So then that means the artwork is reflective of who's in the city. So if there's a gallery, the gallery isn't going to have me there because I don't live in the city. You know what I mean? So from that point, DC wants that culture. Chicago wants that culture. You know, all these other spots want us. And unfortunately, Atlanta hasn't really clicked to understand the value. The artists get it, you know what I'm saying? But the structure around Atlanta doesn't really understand.
What are you saying about yourself in this regard? The muscle and the mouthpiece, yes, but you're also saying art can sell, art does work. I mean, there's a market for what you're doing.
Yeah, definitely. It's I mean, there's a huge market for it. The problem is the bridge between those who want it versus where we are. And we're not really clear on how to get across the bridge. But I'm clear on how to get across the bridge. Because I've gotten across and I'm on the bridge, I'm still, you know what I mean? So it's just like what it says for me is that I understand the business of it. You know what I'm saying? And I understand the business, I understand the mechanics, I understand the value of it. So it's easier for me to do certain things in comparison to other people.
Artists trust you too. Steve Allen, who's an accomplished artist, who works in the Smithsonian, says, yes, I'm running with you. Yeah. He's been to some big other places and folks, but he put his hands and said, listen, I'll ride with you. Is that correct?
Yeah, hands down. And Steve is a big dog in the game, and It's one of those things where Atlanta doesn't even know
That's true.
how amazing Steve is and the things that he's done. And how is it possible? You know what I'm saying? Because there's such a disconnect. But I have like a number of different artists who, roll with me. And they trust my judgment. They trust what I'm about. And we roll from there.
One of the things you do is a YBE magazine.
Yes, sir.
And thank God I've been fortunate to write for you and be in it.
Yes, sir.
But this issue talks about art in Atlanta. It kind of pokes at, takes a little swipe at the current administration and what's not being done.
Right.
What's been the feedback to this, and what are you actually saying in this issue?
With that, it's really looking at the impact that gentrification's had on the black art scene. And it was an open letter to Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms. And just letting her know, like, look, this is what's happening, in real time. And I understand her position and the politics of it. I understand all of that. But at the same time, at one point in time, we were vocal. And when I say we, I mean black people, I mean artists. I mean, we were really vocal about our surroundings and what's going on. And somehow, 50 years later, now we just quiet as a church mouse. We just go with whatever because we don't want to upset so-and-so. Or we don't want to, get blacklisted or blackballed.
That used to be our calling card in Atlanta. Protesting and saying something, speaking out.
And now it's gone. You know what I mean? So the response has been very well received with.
So you're speaking out.
Oh yeah, because my thing is like, this is what's going on in real time, and I understand why, and I understand how, but I also understand this is how we resolve it.
There are those who suggest you're controversial, radical, and damn good too, what you do. I mean, does that go hand in hand? Is that part of your artistry, your verbalization of the problem, part of your artistry?
Yeah. I mean, it's by the front part of it, I'm a spoken word artist, poet, and you have to say what you have to say. So I've never been afraid to say what I needed to say. So it's like the only thing that changed from spoken word to this is the fact that I'm not making it rhyme. You know what I'm saying? So I'll say what I have to say, and people looking like, and I was like,
Did he really say that?
Yeah, and it's like, this is really what's going on. So when we look at the West End is disappearing. And then Cascade is next. We're in Cascade, but this is the final frontier. Right. And I'm seeing white folks riding around here now. You know what I'm saying? And it's amazing. It's like, man, you go in Publix, you see a couple of white folks, you're like, what? But I understand because it's just like we're right near the airport. Right. You know what I'm saying? We're 15 minutes away from downtown. This is prime real estate. So that's why they're starting in the West End. They're going to gentrify that, get everybody out, and eventually work their way over here.
But what sort of artists are you dealing with? Are the artists of today, artists you're working with, signifying that or dramatizing that? Or is that part of their message they're saying in their work? Or I don't know. What are they saying?
It's a combination. My thing is, I like the honesty of mixing the pot. So you have some that are political. You have some that are doing their thing the way they do it.
Pretty pictures.
Yeah, pretty pictures and, very well done, technically sound. It's just like I don't look for everybody to have my same tone and my same voice when I pick an artist.
And finally, what will be your voice in this DC exhibition? Is Atlanta, it's called Atlanta, our home, our artists, our legacy. What is Okeeba Jubalo's message in this exhibition?
The main thing is that the South has something to say. And I just happen to be the one that's leading the charge. So I'm not doing it because, the reason why I'm doing it is because nobody else is doing it. And it needs to be done. So my message in itself is saying, hey, I'm here. You know what I'm saying? And I'm here. You got to deal with me.
Will your art say that too? Is that what you're expressing?
Yeah. I mean, wherever I go, the artist is going to be there. So it's like my art says, hey, I'm here. But it's surrounded by so many other talented artists who don't have the same voice that I have. Which is great, because it's just like when you're hearing some beautiful music, you want to hear the bass, you want to hear the high, you want to hear that mix.
It's a collage, huh?
Yeah. So when you hear that selection, or you see the selection and the collection of work, it just shows you this colorful group of artists that we have here that deserve to be represented. So
musician, artist, entrepreneur, now curator.
Oh yeah. It's all the same thing. You got to be a maestro.
My man, the maestro of art in Atlanta. Okeeba Jubalo, headed to Washington, D.C. Join him. I'm Maynard Eaton.